First off, while off-roading out in the trails, having a selectable locker can be great in several ways, with one of the biggest advantages being the turning radius and ability to maneuver your vehicle on tight trails or when jammed up in the rocks. There are many situations, especially with a larger vehicle, where you really need to turn as sharp as possible, and leaving the lockers disengaged until they're absolutely necessary is one of the best ways to maintain your vehicle's maneuverability. Remember when I said earlier that your tires rotate at different speeds, and if your locker is engaged while turning will push your vehicle straight? Well, this effect is even more multiplied while on loose traction surfaces, because with your lockers engaged, even if it's just the rear locker, the front tires are going to slide forward instead of gripping the ground, because the rear tires will have more traction while the locker is engaged and is going to override the traction of the front tires. With that driving force of the extra traction from the lockers, it's also going to create a lot more stress on the steering system, especially when the front tires are jammed up in between some rocks or some sort of ruts or crevice, because not only is the power from the engine trying to push just one tire with the force and pressure from that one tire being exerted back through the drivetrain, but with the lockers locked, those forces are going to be doubled through either both the front tires or all four tires, and in that case is really going to strain the steering system. And then throw on top of that the extra strain and weight from the larger tires, and now it's just a catastrophe waiting to happen. Plus, all that extra strain is going to heat up your power steering fluid to the point where it'll boil and cavitate, and then you're going to lose the ability for the fluid to work, and you'll end up losing your steering altogether. Or the power steering is going to boil out or even blow one of the hoses, and that's why if anyone has increased their tire sizes or even installed a front locker, have noticed the extra strain on the steering and has either installed a power steering cooler or went to hydraulic assist or even full hydraulically controlled steering. And anyone even considering a front locker of some sort also needs to consider a cooler or even better hydraulic assist steering. The steering system and the maneuverability of the vehicle are really the two main reasons to leave your lockers disengaged until the point of absolutely needing them when required. So then on what type of obstacles should I use just my front locker and leave the rear unlocked, or lock the rear axle and leave the front open, or lock for both front and rear axles combined? The answer really isn't that complicated. To state the obvious right away, downhilling at any point, the lockers should be disengaged. Other than that, if you need to steer at any point, whether it's in the middle of a rock garden or a mud hole, then I would caution against locking the front axle unless traction is deemed more necessary than steering throughout that particular obstacle. Then lock both front and rear axles. If it's in a situation where you need the front tires to pull you straight up or over a rock ledge or logs or some sort of rock face, then for sure, lock at least the front axle. And if you're certain there is no sharp turns at the top of the obstacle, then it's safe to lock both the front and rear axles. But if there is a sharp turn on the top side of the whatever type of obstacle you're trying to get over, locking just the front axle will still allow you to maneuver your front end over in one direction or the other, compared to having both the front and rear axles locked. As a good rule of thumb, the front tires will pull you over an obstacle, and just the front locked will still allow some maneuverability. The rear tires push you over an obstacle and through a turn, so it's always better if you need to turn on a locker to lock the front axle and leave the rear open, unless again traction overrules your turning. Mud in a straight line is always front and rear locked, as you'll need as much traction as possible in the deeper holes. And guys, these are just recommendations, but it's really quite situational, and knowing how your particular vehicle handles is going to be the ultimate determining factor for each particular situation. This goes back to what I always preach in other videos for those of us who are fairly new to off-roading, and it's to warm up slowly by getting seat time in your vehicle first on the smaller obstacles, and for a while too, before going out and hitting the more extreme stuff. And I realize this can be quite the challenge in certain geographical areas, as there might not be any extreme obstacles, or there might only be extreme obstacles, albeit you could probably find some lesser aggressive obstacles almost anywhere with a little bit of research online first. Also, geographical areas and the type of off-roading you're doing could also potentially determine if having selectable lockers are even worth it. Like when we were out in Moab, Utah this year with the Icon team, there were definitely and without a doubt that selectable lockers were a necessity. With huge drop-offs, ledges, rock faces, crevices, off-camber edges, hill climbs, along with a variety of other precarious situations, every type of trick up your sleeve imaginable was needed to make sure we made it up and over some of these challenges. Because on a few different obstacles, one slip of the tire the wrong way or the other would have meant a long-ass fall to the bottom of a ravine. When you're in that type of situation, you want every single advantage there is to ensure your success. Even if it wasn't an extreme challenge with as much to risk, you still don't want to flop your vehicle on its side. For one, you're going to have costly repairs, and two, your pride is going to be hurt probably more than your vehicle is, and we definitely don't want that, right? We also had similar circumstance when wheeling the new Broncos in Texas at the Bilstein Bronco Off-Rodeo, where granted, we weren't at the top of a mountainside, but knowing which locker to engage and when was also important in determining if we made it up and over the type of obstacle we were on at that time. Of which I will say the types of obstacles that we were on, the Bronco Off-Rodeo Ranch mostly called for the front E-locker to be engaged much more than having both the front and rear lockers engaged, or even just the rear locker engaged. This was due mostly to the fact that the trails were fairly tight and turning radius was important, and the fact that most of the obstacles weren't extremely challenging that they justified engaging both lockers. I mean, they were challenging enough and pretty fun, but not overly extreme like they were at Moab or some other mountainous regions are across the United States. But again, guys, we always love hearing back from all of you, so make sure and let us know what type of lockers you have or might be considering, and in what types of situations you engage your lockers for. Or even if you guys do have any further questions on lockers, definitely make sure and let us know in the comments below. Also, guys, don't forget new wheel and tire packages, suspension upgrades, and accessories for your Jeep, truck, Toyota, your SUV, off-road rig. Make sure and check out all the different options we have right on our website at TrailBuilt Off-Road. Plus, guys, with several different special financing options available, you can buy now, build your rig right away, and spread out the monthly payments to work best for your particular budget. And guys, if you liked today's video, hit that thumbs up and that subscribe button to stay up to date with all of our newest videos. And guys, as always, we appreciate all of you for watching and all of your support. I'm Josh from TrailBuilt, and we'll see you guys out on the trails.